Well, hello and welcome to today's show. Now, this show is all about planning for the future. And we plan for things like weddings, don't we? And holidays. And we make these plans and we write lists and make sure we know exactly what we want. But one thing we don't plan for is the inevitable. We don't plan for our funerals. We don't plan for our wishes. And it's a selfless act because it's an act for those you leave behind, for your family and your close friends. Did you know that the cost of dying is increasing continuously? Now, today on this show, we're going to be talking to the planning crowd. We're also going to be joined by Joe Derbyshire as well from Avalon to talk about how easy it is to plan for funerals and your wishes and your funeral wishes as well. So stay with us here because during this hour, not only are we going to give you exclusive deals, but we're also going to learn an awful lot about the selfless act of planning ahead. Now, joining me on this hour are familiar faces now. We've got Ian Peace, Director, and we've got Helen Hill joining us as well, Legal Services Director. It's lovely to have your company, both of you.
Hello
Thank you.
Now, we're going to be talking about quite a lot on the show, and it is about planning ahead, isn't it? Ian, can you tell me a little bit more about the Planning Crowd and your partnership with Avalon?
Yes, certainly. Well, the Planning Crowd's a legal services company. We specialise in estate planning primarily, which includes things like wills and lasting power of attorney. And we've talked a lot about that on these very shows. But also end-of-life planning obviously includes your funeral. So we also do funeral plans as well. And that's where Avalon come in. We've got years of experience in this market, in this industry, if you like. And our research has led us to Avalon because we find that they're very similar to us, that they put the client at the heart of everything that we do. And they will accommodate what the clients need. And that's a very important thing because this is a very, very personal thing. You mentioned it's a selfless act, and it certainly is because you are doing it for the people that you leave behind. Be under no illusion that it's incredibly selfless. So, yeah, as I said, we're a legal services company primarily, but we're heavily involved in end-of-life planning. And that's why we're doing the show today, because it's a very, very important topic.
And it is a positive thing, and we want to get that out there straight away, because every time we do these shows, when we do the will and estate planning, it's always a positive thing, just to secure that for the people you leave behind, and, you know, to get to almost like a cathartic in a way as well. Once you've done that, you can put it away, you've planned your wills, you've planned your funeral, it's all done for you.
No client ever says, I wish I hadn't done that.
Exactly.
Every client is relieved might be too strong a word, but every client it is cathartic. It's like, I'm glad I've sorted that out. I'm glad I've ticked that box and now I just get on with my life.
Now, Ian and Helen will talk us through everything we need to know about our future plans, of course, for funerals. But we've also got IDOWord exclusive deals, especially for you. And these are amazing deals, I have to say. In fact, £587 worth. Let's have a look at what your exclusive deal is tonight. So you get a free will, that's worth £129. A free advance directive worth £89. Now, don't worry if you're thinking, I don't know what that means. We will be talking through everything for you. A free DNA pack, that's worth £119. A free bereavement service worth £250 plus an exclusive funeral planner. Now that's a total of £587 worth. And all you need to do is quote a TPC006 to avail of these fantastic deals tonight. The number on the bottom of the screen, slightly different to usual, it's 0333 600 600. And of course you can have the call back as well, which we'll talk about in a little while. But getting back to Ian, first of all, can you tell us a little bit more about why we should choose the Planning Crowd? I'm going to go to you with that, Helen, the Planning Crowd for end-of-life planning.
Yeah, it's what we do every single day. So we've got a combined 30 years experience within the industry. We've got a really highly trained team of people back in Lincoln who deal with this on a regular basis. And we think the most important thing that we offer is a real personal service. So from the very moment that someone first speaks to us, to the time when their plans actually come to fruition. We deal with them all the way through and then assist their family as well when they really need it. And it is that personal service that we think is so important. I mean, we see people who plan, who come to us and get all their plans in place. And then we speak to other people who come to us because their family members haven't planned. And tonight it's all about making sure everyone understands how important it is and what an amazing effect it can have on the people you leave behind if you just give it a bit of thought and do something about it.
Now, somebody who did that, and we've got lots of very happy customers, but I'm going to read what Malcolm Elliott had to say about using this fantastic service. And remember, of course, lots of you very happy. Having done some research into end-of-life planning, I contacted the planning crowd for some advice. I was pleasantly surprised with how helpful and understanding my advisor Daisy was. She gave me some valuable advice with regard to lasting power of attorney documents and was also able to help me choose the right prepaid funeral plan for me. Daisy turned what I thought might be a daunting and complex matter into a simple and straightforward one. I've since recommended family and friends to the planning crowd and would encourage anyone thinking about end-of-life planning to contact them and speak to their expert advisors. And it's not just the emotional aspects, is it, that's important, but it's also, you know, the financial aspects as well. Now, I'm going to show you something because this is from Sun Life. Now, this is changes to the cost of dying. I was actually quite shocked when I saw this because this is changes to the cost of dying, and this is from 2007 to 2017. So you can see 2007, 5,858. 2017, look at that. That's a change of 52%. So, Ian, just the funeral alone has increased quite dramatically, hasn't it?
Yeah, the funeral in isolation has actually increased in cost by greater than that. That report actually takes into account a lot of things and various other costs, but the biggest chunk of that figure is the cost of the funeral and the send-off. And unfortunately, it's one of these things that is definitely going to happen.
Yes.
You know, I bought my first house and it was, in hindsight now, at the time it was really expensive, but when I first bought it, looking back now, it was incredibly cheap. I wish I could buy a house at that price again today. The idea of a prepaid funeral plan is it's the cheapest it's ever going to be today because things are only getting more expensive, and the problem is funeral plans are doing that. And so if you can lock in a price today, there's a real emotional benefit to planning ahead, which we'll discuss, I'm sure, but the financial side of it also makes perfect sense. Because if you could buy something today at today's prices and know it's guaranteed at that price, we all know that costs only go up, so lock it in now, and that's what a prepaid funeral plan does.
Now, we're going to show you some examples as well. So I was really quite shocked by the Sun Life, but looking at this as well. And just talk me through what we're seeing here in terms of the rise in the cost of funerals in the past decade. So you can see the funeral there has risen by 70.6%. I mean, that is incredible. When you look at that and you actually see that difference, it's frightening, really, isn't it?
It's a shocking figure, really, and it's just the reality of what's happening out there at the moment. So, again, it's one of those things that I don't think people want to necessarily think about, but they should just give a little bit of time and thought to it, and you'd be amazed how you can mitigate that. It's a lot of money. Unfortunately, dying is an expensive thing to do. Yeah. But if you give it a little bit of thought, you can plan for it, and you can save a lot of heartache, you can save a lot of financial burden and emotional burden just by thinking ahead. And you don't have to dwell on it, it's just,
absolutely,
it's a very, very short amount of your time, and we'll help you put all the right plans in place as well.
Now, there are lots of ways to contact the planning crowd if you want to avail of these exclusive offers, which I have to say, when you look at something like that from Sun Life, and you're able to do this today, pick up that phone, because this is an amazing offer tonight. Now, it's a different phone number, as we said. It's 0333 600 2600. Now, you can also quote TPC 006 on the phone to the lovely people in Lincoln, but also text 88802 with the word wills, and that, of course, will mean that the planning crowd will call you within an hour, and you can have a chat to them then. Make a cup of tea and have a chat. Now, we're going to talk about the Balmoral plan, and this is the essential plan which we're going to be talking about tonight. So the plan includes attending to all necessary funeral arrangements, funeral director's services, conveyance of the deceased to the funeral home within England, Scotland and Wales, advice and certification and registration, excuse me, preparation and care of the deceased, supply of coffin, provision of a hearse directly to the crematorium or cemetery, all funeral staff required to conduct the service, and a confidential advice on personal and social matters. And not only that, you've got 3 options to pay as well. I'm going to show you what these are right now. Now, the first option is pay in full. That's a single payment now or within 21 days, and you can avoid monthly costs. You can have option 2, and that's interest-free. You pay a deposit now and spread the cost within 12 monthly payments. Or you can have option 3, spread the cost. Pay a deposit now and spread the cost with it up to 120 monthly instalments. So what I'm going to do now is show you an example of what that means. So we could say this is, if you wanted to pay in full with no deposit, you can see there, of course, option 1, no deposit, no monthly payments. Option 2, your plan price, your deposit £99 or 12 payments of £295.50. Option 3, you can have a deposit of £99 or 120 payments of £44.92. And we worked that out, and that's actually about £10 a week. And then I broke it down even further to my favourite cup of coffee that I have every day. And that's exactly what it added up to. And peace of mind, I will always say, is priceless. And I just want to show you, of course, what else you are getting here, because this is an incredible deal. You get a free will, free advance directive, free DNA pack, free bereavement service, and plus an exclusive funeral planner. Ian, talk us through these, because this is quite incredible, isn't it?
We spent some time putting this together. Obviously, we've been on Ideal World now for some time, and we know that you like your exclusive deals, but obviously we wanted to make this fit around what we're trying to do, and end-of-life planning is an important thing. A lot of people who take out a funeral plan also often do a will with it because they want the family to know that the funeral plan exists, and they often document that in the will. What I would say, if anyone's already got a will, then take advantage, we'll do a free review. And, and we can incorporate the funeral plan when we review that will. The advance directive is a really personal thing that takes a burden away from your family. A lot of what we're talking about today is removing a burden, and certainly an emotional and stressful one. If ever anyone is found in an awful state and a decision has to be made about end-of-life care and what decision needs to be taken, well, you can take that burden from your family now. I've got an advance directive that says what I would want to happen if I didn't have a voice for myself, and that removes any doubt over what I would want to happen because it's very, very clear. And again, you can talk to our staff about that, and they'll be able to give you advice and talk you through what's the best way to go. The DNA pack is something we've promoted heavily on this show.
Yes.
You can leave a little bit of yourself behind, which can help as medical advancements continue. That can really benefit future generations, so the DNA pack is really important. And the funeral planner itself ties in with our bereavement service. The funeral planner, we've spent a long time putting this together, asking the right questions to help people decide what it is they want to do. Lots of family breakups occur and family arguments occur because death is a really emotional time, and grief can have different effects on different people. And one of the things is people arguing or disagreeing about what the loved one would have wanted to happen. This type of plan just, again, removes all that doubt and removes that emotional stress. So it's very, very clear what you want to achieve. We help you document all of that. And these free offers, well, it's the best part of £600. The bereavement service itself means that we are there at the point of need. When the people who you've asked to take care of everything are ready for our help, we're there to help them. So as Helen said earlier, we don't just draft the documents and put the plans in place. The client is at the heart of everything we do, and we're there for the journey, if you like, and at the point of need, we're there to help the family and the loved ones that you've left behind.
That is incredible. So much in here. I'm sure many people right now want to take advantage of this. So how do I take advantage of this? Once I bought my funeral plan, do I have to wait until the plan is paid up to receive it, or?
No. The big thing tonight is you don't really even need to know at this stage how you want to pay for your plan. The £99 deposit will secure this offer. So I'd encourage anyone to make that phone call, do the text, go on the website and actually register your interest. But the £99 will actually secure the plan at this price. And then you can talk through with our consultants how you want to pay for it. But once that plan is in place, no, you don't have to wait for it to be paid off. If you decide to spread it at £10 a week for all intents and purposes, you'll get the will and you'll get all the services and everything that we've promised pretty much straight away.
Helen, can you tell me more about how you will pay for a funeral plan?
Yeah, as you've mentioned, there are the 3 options available, so it's really flexible the way that you can pay for it. You can, of course, just pay for it all up front, get it out of the way, it's all done, you can forget about it, or you can spread it interest-free over a year, so you just pay your £99 deposit and pay it over a year, or you can spread it up to 10 years. And you can also vary the deposit as well.
Oh, nice.
So you could make a larger deposit and then your payments will be lower. But I think the key thing, as Ian mentioned, is you don't have to decide tonight.
Yes.
All you need to do is decide, this is something I want to do. give us a call, secure the deal with a £99 deposit, and then when you have your appointment with your consultant, who will talk you all through it, talk about affordability and find the best option for you, at that point, that's when you can decide how you want to pay for it. So you don't need to decide right now.
And you have a lovely team in Lincoln, of course. Can you tell us a little bit more about the contact team in Lincoln?
They're brilliant. We're really proud of the team we've got there.
Yeah.
They're great, and they're all waiting to take the calls today. They're all highly trained. We're also members of the Institute of Professional Will Writers, which means that we have to adhere to their code of practice. And it also means that we adhere to a code that's recognised by the Trading Standards Institute as well. And we undergo ongoing training with the team as well. And most of all, they're such a friendly bunch.
They're lovely.
They're happy to hold your hand all the way through the process. So don't be afraid to pick up the phone and speak to them tonight.
Oh, absolutely. And you don't need anything, by the way. You know, I always thought, oh, I need to have everything I want laid out and everything organised, and you don't. Just pick up the phone and have that initial chat. They are absolutely lovely. Ian, I'm going to come to you because I'm going to ask you, what are the benefits? I mean, we can see the fantastic deals, but what are the benefits of doing this right now?
I wax lyrical about this, removing a financial burden and an emotional burden. I think we've touched on quite a lot that we do see both sides of the coin, the families and the people that have planned and the families and the people that haven't. And sometimes there's a really, really stark contrast. So the benefit of doing it now is you know that this is something that your family are going to have to deal with. And it's not to be morbid and it's not to like dwell on it, but you know it's going to happen. You mentioned at the top of the show that people plan for weddings and holidays and things like that. But we know this is going to happen. We just don't know when, but we don't want to plan for it. Well, if you do plan for it, I promise you, you will not only remove a financial burden, but the emotional burden as well. Just knowing that you've left instructions for your family is a really selfless thing to do. You know that your family are going to basically follow your instructions, follow your final wishes, because for want of a better description, it is your last act on this planet.
Indeed.
So you want it to be right, and you don't want it to be the thing that splits your family up. You know, a funeral should be a celebration of your life, and this is a way that you can plan it. But remove that emotional burden, remove that financial burden. But it's all about just taking that first step. So don't overthink it at this point. You know, if you know that this is something you want to do and you should, then just make that initial phone call and we'll help you get the plan that's right for you.
And this is the first step, isn't it?
Absolutely.
I mean, that's all you have to do. Terence Bridges did that, and he wrote in to tell us his experience. So I was introduced to the planning crowd by the Idea World Shopping Channel. They promised to make estate planning a simple and straightforward process, and this is exactly what they achieved. They were professional throughout all my dealings with them, and most importantly, took the time to understand what it was I wanted to achieve. They were also able to help me remove the burden of funeral expenses for my family, and I knew exactly the right questions to ask to guide me through the process. Some things I wouldn't even have thought of without their help. I now have the peace of mind that all my planning is in place and that my family and loved ones are cared for. Isn't that what it's all about? Ian, who needs a funeral? We're going to go back to the beginning. Who needs a funeral panel, and what do they need to do first?
It's obviously a pretty obvious statement that everyone needs a funeral plan because unfortunately we're all going to die. I've yet to meet someone immortal. But in all seriousness, anyone who wants to remove that burden and wants to do the right thing by their loved ones should consider making a plan, because if not, it is left to your family, both the decisions over what happens but also how it's going to be paid for. And the sad reality is it is always paid for by somebody. You know, as I said, this is what we do day in, day out, and unfortunately, you know, we have the front end, if you like, where we're speaking to clients and we're helping them put the plan in place, and then we have the point of need where we're dealing with the state administration, we're helping people sort out the funerals, and it doesn't make things easier, if you like, because people are still grieving, but it doesn't make things worse because there's no added stress, there's no added emotional pressure, if you like, and it's such a selfless act that I'd encourage anyone that's thinking about it, just pick up that phone, send the text, get on the website, and at least speak to one of our consultants, and they can tell you what your options are and talk you through how affordable it can be. And every plan is bespoke to you.
That's it. And I suppose a lot of us, we don't get around to doing this, even though it's quite a selfless act. Why do you think so many people don't actually get around to doing something like this?
I think we can all be guilty of apathy.
Absolutely,
I think
yes.
there are so many things that seem more important at the time or more exciting. better things to spend our money on or
Your
our
cup of
time
coffee.
on. Yeah, exactly. It's very easy to put things off, and I think we're all guilty of doing that. And I think today we just want to get across how important it is to consider it. There's some shocking statistics. One of the worst ones is that someone in the UK dies every minute of every day. And that's, you know, when you think about that, that's a really shocking statistic.
It's a sobering number.
Absolutely. And we have people who contact us because something or some event in their life has brought it into sharp focus. And those are the people who say, right, now I need to plan. And we want to encourage everyone to do that, everyone to think about what's going to happen in the future. And I'm sure if everyone could see into the future and see what a difference it can make by planning, they would all want to consider it.
Ian, there's quite a lot of planning, and it is quite... I was saying earlier, I've done both. I've planned funerals and weddings, so this is very similar to planning a wedding and what goes into it. We're going to see that right now. And, you know, so a funeral to-do list and a wedding to-do list. So we've got both there. Talk us through this, Ian.
Well, for all intents and purposes, as you can see, they're pretty much identical. I got married, actually, in December last year.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I've nearly made a year. Nearly.
Well done.
Jeannie's not kicked me out yet.
She's still putting up with it.
Yeah, she's still putting up with me. But I know that we spent 2 years planning that. We spent 2 years, you know, and they are comparable because you do spend a lot of time planning these things, and they're both expensive things, but they're obviously completely different things. And the reality is, unless you do plan ahead, unfortunately your family have a very, very short space of time to arrange things like the churches and the order of service, what songs you want, and that's where, as daft as it sounds, sometimes the arguments start. Oh no, Dad wouldn't want that song, he'd want this song. But again, if you take the time today to think about what you would want and plan it out, you can remove all of that burden and put it in place, because I'd hate to think that I was trying to plan a wedding within a few days.
That's incredible. I mean, just looking at that, and it is overwhelming for something that you have no frame of reference for, and all of a sudden all of that is upon you.
Unless you've been through it, you can't comprehend how much is actually involved. And that's, Helen's crystal ball is perfect, because if you knew what was involved and you could see the difference, if you could see your family dealing with it without you planning and see your family dealing with it with your planning, you'd realise what a huge thing it is that you're doing for your loved ones.
And we're talking about a funeral plan. What is a funeral plan, Ian?
A funeral plan is peace of mind. It's peace of mind for you, it's peace of mind for your family and for your loved ones. I know with a funeral plan that my family aren't going to be burdened with the expense at the time that it's needed, but I also know that I've clearly explained what I would like to happen. And people's wishes are changing all the time. There's a lot of people now who will say, I don't want anyone wearing black at my funeral. Or I want everyone wearing football tops and all that kind of thing. So it's a really personal thing.
Yes,
and as I said, it should be, in my opinion, it should be a celebration of your life. Clearly it's a sad thing, but it should also be a celebration of your life. And the best way to ensure that your last act is a good one is to plan for it.
So, Helen, it's not just, you know, we mentioned emotions and wishes, so it's not just a financial plan, is it?
It's not, no. I mean, the financial side of it is, it makes total sense to secure the cost of the funeral at today's prices. That's, you know, really straightforward. But the emotional side of it, not many people think about it. I mean, as Ian said, that's one of the things that causes the most arguments. And there are so many things to consider and think about, and that's why we've put together the My Funeral Plan document. And what that does is it asks a series of questions and allows you to document all your wishes. So things like what songs you would want at your funeral, whether there's any specific poems, what you want people to wear, who you want to attend, where you want your funeral to take place. And this document, we've built it based on our years of experience. So we know the type of questions that the people who are left behind will ask, and they'll want to know the information. And just the thought that you can plan it all out. There's a lot to go through. We'll talk you through it. You know, we'll ask you the questions, we'll prompt you, we'll make you think about things that you haven't even considered. But then it'll all be documented, and that's a lovely thing to do. You can even leave personal messages for your family. And we've seen some really emotional ones where people have received those, and it's such a nice thing to do.
It is, and it's done for your family. And we talked about, obviously, costs. So how can you pay for your funeral plan, Ian?
Well, there's a number of options. A lot of people, if they can afford it, they pay up front. You know, there's lots of people who are sat with money sat in things like ISAs and investments that, quite frankly, when you see how much the cost of a funeral will increase, the chance of that money, even if there's enough to pay for a funeral today, may not pay for a funeral in 10 years, 20 years. So you might as well use that money to buy the funeral today, so you can pay for it up front. If you want to pay for it over a monthly period, then basically your minimum deposit starts at £99. You can choose what deposit you want to leave, but to secure this offer today, you only have to pay a £99 deposit, and then we'll sit down and talk to you about your affordability and what you want to pay. But
so it's all there for you.
But it's from as little as you know. We keep saying this £10 a week, but it's actually, if you put your mind to it, quite easy to find £10 a week with knocking a latte on the head every day, Jen.
Come on about that coffee of mine.
I keep stealing that coffee from you.
Let's have a look at everything here for you. This is Balmoral. Now, all this plan includes, of course, and there is a lot, attending to all necessary funeral arrangements, funeral director's services, conveyance of the deceased to the funeral home within England, Scotland and Wales, advice and certification and registration, preparation and care of the deceased, supply of coffin, provision of a hearse directly to the crematorium or cemetery, all funeral staff required to conduct the service, and a confidential advice on personal and social matters. And also, by quoting that TPC, you can see there you have got these exclusive offers. So remember, of course, all you have to do is quote TPC 006. Free will worth £129, free advance directive worth £89, a free DNA pack worth £119, and then a free bereavement service worth £250, an exclusive funeral planner as well, £587, which is absolutely incredible, included. Ian, tell us a little bit more about the advantage of planning ahead.
The advantage of planning ahead is removing a burden that's inevitably going to be there. I would hate to think, it is a sobering thought, I would hate to think that Jeannie didn't know what my final wishes were, and I'd hate to think that there was any financial burden on my wife or my family, and so by planning ahead I can remove all of that. So it's a really, really selfless thing, and more importantly, I do have some specific wishes that I want carried out, which I won't say here. But the only way I know they'll be carried out is by documenting and having that plan in place. So it's just like anything else in life. You know, I think it's Benjamin Franklin who said, if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail.
Yeah, exactly, yes.
And this is something that is an inevitability. We keep saying don't dwell on it. It's not a morbid thing. It's a really, really positive thing. And by planning, you just save so much heartache and frankly, so much money as well.
You do indeed, absolutely. Yeah. Now, Helen, we're going to talk about Avalon. So, why choose Avalon?
There are so many plans out there and so many different products, and you have to really look at what you're getting. There are products out there that aren't, strictly speaking, a funeral plan, and they're actually insurance-based. So you're taking out a policy that pays a lump sum. The problem with that is that that lump sum is fixed and it doesn't grow. So unlike the plan with Avalon, which is set at today's prices and guaranteed to cover the cost of your funeral, there are policies out there. You'll see on the adverts it says, can be put towards a contribution towards your funeral. That doesn't mean that your funeral is guaranteed to be covered. So you really have to be careful and look at what you're getting.
Absolutely.
What we've done is we've thought about what would we want for our family. And looked at the whole of the market and what's available. So we've basically done the hard work for you.
You have indeed.
We've done the investigating, and we think Avalon is a good product.
Now, I'm going to give you an example as well. Let's just have a look. If with the Balmoral, this is just an example. This is Mrs. Smith. Now, Mrs. Smith chooses the Balmoral funeral plan. The plan price is £3,645. Mrs. Smith paid a deposit of £99, and Mrs. Smith pays 120 payments of £44.92. Or £10 a day, or a cup of coffee a day, if you're like me and you like your lattes. TP006 is all you have to quote, remember, of course, to get these amazing exclusive deals tonight here. Lots of ways to contact as well. Numbers slightly different to the usual number at the bottom of the screen, 0333 600 2600. Or you can also text if you want to, and we're just going to give you the details of that. That is 88802 for a call back, and all you have to do do is put wills in and you'll get a call back within 1 hour. It's as simple as that. Now, I would like to introduce you to our lovely Jo Derbyshire from Avalon. It's great to have your company.
Hi, good to be here.
Now, I just want to start off by asking you, of course, you're the commercial director of Avalon. Can you tell us a little bit more about Avalon, please, Jo?
Of course. Avalon was established in 1993, so we've been around for over 20 years, coming up to our 25th birthday next year. We have offices in the UK and in Europe, so our funeral plans can be taken if you're lucky enough to have a holiday home in Spain over there with you, which is quite rare. We have over 200 employees. And we are the fastest growing funeral planning authority registered funeral planning provider in the UK. And it's really important that the funeral planning authority registration is really important. And I'm sure we'll kind of come on to that when we talk about how safe and secure your money needs to be.
Absolutely, so peace of mind as well. What do you think are the common concerns people have when considering their funeral plans?
They're mainly two concerns. So the first is financial. It's about leaving a bill for loved ones.
Right, yes.
I'm a mum, I've got 2 kids, you know, love them. I wouldn't want to leave them with that financial burden. So there's a real kind of, you know, parental instinct to protect them from that, I think.
Yes.
And the other one is emotional. It's that whole kind of I get the funeral that I wanted. It's that celebration of my life. So I don't want my loved ones, my husband, my children, to know exactly what I want, so that I can get the send off that I want. It's as unique as I am.
And not having to guess, not leaving the family to have to guess, you know, what kind of songs or what kind of, just those wishes as well. It's so important.
Yeah, that's it.
How does an Avalon plan address these concerns, Jo?
So what the Avalon plan does is it fixes those funeral director services.
Oh, yes.
So that they're guaranteed to be provided. However long you live for, they will be fully covered by the plan. There's also a £1,000 contribution to the disbursements, which covers your cremation or cemetery fee, doctor's fees and minister or officiant fees. I think quite a lot of people want non-religious services these days.
Yes, of course, yes.
Humanist.
You can be
Humanist, I
humanist,
think,
yeah,
it?
can
Yes.
be humanist, yeah. So the plan would cover those two, and that £1,000 goes up in line with inflation. So you're inflation-proofing your funeral. So it addresses those kind of financial concerns. And on the emotional side, you can record your wishes. You know, make sure that they're all there, so that you're not leaving that burden for your children. And you know, you know what families are like. You know how difficult. Talking about what you want for your funeral is a difficult conversation to have with your loved ones.
Yes.
You don't really want to talk about it because you don't want to think it's ever going to happen, but it is.
Well, this is it. It's part of life, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
And it opened the conversation when we knew we were doing this show today.
Yeah.
It opened the conversation with all of us. You know, sort of, I spoke to my colleagues today, you know, and it is something we know that is difficult, but when you do it, it's a selfless act. We're just going to recap on all of that for you right now. So why choose Avalon Plan? Fixed cost, peace of mind. I think it's so important. It's one call away or one step away, if you like. Flexible payment methods, reputable and trusted, guaranteed acceptance, local funeral directors and dual certification as well. And also, of course, remember that you have got amazing deals here tonight as well by just calling the number at the bottom of the screen. And this is also what we just touched upon. So funeral director services, cost fixed and guaranteed for the lifetime of your plan. Funeral director services, care and preparation of the deceased, provision of hearse and supply of coffin, and disbursements contribution to the value of £1,000, doctor's fees, minister clergy fees, cremation fees, or cemetery fees. So all of that in this fantastic plan. Now, just a reminder, of course, the number at the bottom of the screen, if you do want to call that right now and have a chat to the lovely people in Lincoln. This is all about just taking that first step. You don't have to have everything in front of you. You don't have to have a list of everything you want tonight, because you're probably thinking, well, I wasn't thinking, you know, what songs do I want? You don't need any of that. But it is taking that first step to make it easier for family. I have planned 2 funerals and I have planned a wedding, not all at the same time. And I can tell you, to plan a funeral in that short space of time is so difficult. Just imagine if it was all there. One funeral I planned, nothing was there. The other one, everything written down, and I can tell you it made a difference at an emotional time. Let's talk about the Balmoral plan for a moment for you, and the essential plan as well. So all the details coming up right now for you. But don't forget, of course, you can call the number on the bottom of the screen if you just want to discuss this with our lovely people in Lincoln as well. All the details are there. And don't forget to quote TPC. That's all you have to do, of course, 006. So let's have a look again at the Balmoral funeral plans. Attendant to all necessary funeral arrangements, funeral director services, conveyance of the deceased to the funeral home within England, Scotland and Wales, advice and certification and registration, preparation and care of the deceased, supply of coffin, provision of a hearse directly to the crematorium or cemetery, all funeral staff required to conduct the service, and confidential advice on personal and social matters. Isn't that incredible? Things we don't even think about, and it's all there. Looking at that plan, Joe, it's quite essential, isn't it, to have all of that? I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah, and what that does, if you think about what happens after somebody passes away, there's an awful lot to do as well as the funeral. But what this plan will do, will it make sure that before the funeral happens, the funeral director will take care of all the paperwork for you, make sure that they help you organise the funeral, and then when the time comes, the plan will cover all the essentials of the funeral and make sure that everything goes without a hitch and all your wishes are delivered.
And I suppose it's fair to say as well, we were talking about this a little while ago, that the cost of funerals has risen more than the cost of inflation in recent years.
Yeah, inflation and return on savings, so it really is a sensible financial thing to do.
Yeah, it's quite shocking actually when I saw the Sunlight thing. I know I keep going on about it, but it was 52%. Yeah. You know, look at that in from 2007 to 2017. So at least now, you know, you're getting the Balmoral, other options as well. Chat to the people in Lincoln, but that 52%. So if I pay in advance for my funeral, Joe, what assurances do I have that my money is safe?
So the money that you pay is invested in a trust that's held separately to the company. It's independent to the company, and it's managed by independent trustees. So it's nice and safe and secure. The investments are managed by Standard Life, who I'm sure everybody's heard of.
Yes, indeed.
So nice big global fund manager. And the funds are valued every year by our actuary to make sure that there's enough money within the trusts to pay the funeral directors for the funerals that will be required in the future. And Avalon are also Funeral Planning Authority registered providers, which I mentioned earlier. Yes. Really, really important. So the Funeral Planning Authority is the regulator for funeral plans at the minute, and it's voluntary. It's voluntary, but it's really important that you register with them. Because what they do effectively, they provide an independent check. So if you buy a funeral plan from a Funeral Planning Authority registered company, you know that an independent regulator has done a check to make sure that they operate to high professional standards and that the money that you've paid will be safeguarded to provide the funeral that you need in the future. So really, really important. It's a bit like you wouldn't buy a holiday from somebody that didn't have an ATOL licence. It provides that kind of protection for you.
My word, it makes financial sense, doesn't it? And of course, you know, there's also the emotional side to it as well, isn't there?
Yeah, the financial side, you can see the sense in that straight away. The emotional side, I think you can't put a value on that. You can't put a value on the fact that you can remove that stress from your family because they know. You mentioned it yourself, if you've been unlucky enough to plan a couple of funerals and one you had to start from scratch, if you like, and hope you got it right, and another the person's wishes were there. It's a really stark contrast.
It is, yeah.
The funeral plan that we've spent time putting together helps our clients document their wishes clearly, and we help them think about things that perhaps they haven't thought of, because there's quite a bit to go through, but it's not daunting. Again, it's cathartic, and it just answers all those questions that our experience tells us are going to be asked at the point of need. Well, if the answers are there at the point of need, all that stress goes away. So the financial side is very, very straightforward. It makes perfect sense financially. The emotional side is for me, you can't put a price on that.
And I have to say, you know, sort of planning a funeral where you have I was saying a while ago, you have no frame of reference, you know, and this is thrust upon you at a very emotional time. And the things you have to think about, well, you never thought about it before. Yeah. And it's people are coming at you from all angles. Do you want this? Do you want that? And I've never done this before. I don't know. So a funeral plan from Avalon really does cover so much. Can you just summarise the benefits? I think we already know the benefits, don't we? But can you summarise that for us, Joe?
Of course, yeah. An Avalon funeral plan will give you financial and emotional peace of mind with a company that's Funeral Planning Authority registered, so you can have full confidence that you're being dealt with by a professional company and that the money that you've paid will be protected. It's fabulous.
Fantastic. It is, absolutely. And to know that you have got the amazing exclusive offers as well. Do take that first step. Right, so let's have a look again at everything that's included. I'm going to recap again the Avalon plan benefits. A fixed price, so we guarantee to fix the funeral director's services at today's prices. Remember that, Sun Life? Remember that a cost of a funeral is rising quicker than inflation. So at today's prices, against any rise in funeral director's fees and services, and irrespective of how long you live. All funeral arrangements are in place, ensuring your final wishes are carried out to your exact requirements. And relieve, and this is wonderful, because relieve your loved ones from the stresses and worry of arranging your funeral when the time comes. It is a selfless act, isn't it? And also your funds are held separately to the company in a specially designed secure trust fund and independently managed by blue chip institutions. And of course, Funeral Planning Authority, FPA registered provider. That is absolute peace of mind. Joe, I want to say an absolute thank you to you, because it really has opened our eyes to what we can take advantage of with Avalon. It is absolutely fantastic. So thank you so much for joining us again.
Thank you.
Now we're just going to have a look at that Balmoral plan again, and do make sure you call the number at the bottom of the screen, because it includes attending to all necessary funeral arrangements. Not only that, funeral director services, conveyance of the deceased to funeral home within England, Scotland and Wales, advice and certification and registration, preparation and care of the deceased, supply of coffin, provision of a hearse directly to the crematorium or cemetery, and all funeral staff required to conduct the service, confidential advice on personal and social matters, all of that for you. Now, Mrs. Smith, let's have an example of Mrs. Smith. So she decided to buy the Balmoral funeral plan. Mrs. Smith pays a deposit, £99, and Mrs. Smith pays 120 payments of £44.92. And as Ian likes to remind me, that's my latte a day. So TPC 006 is all you have to quote today, remember, on the phone. And let's remind you of those offers as well that you'll get when you do quote TPC 006. A free will worth £129, a free advance directive £89, a free DNA pack of £119, free bereavement service worth £250, an exclusive funeral planner, and that's a total of £587. And that's an exclusive offer. That's all included for you. Now let's have a look at the first testimonial, of course, from Mr. and Mrs. Dickens, and they said, we saw the fantastic deals that the Planning Crowd were offering on our Do World shopping channel. Thank you very much. We took advantage of their offer and decided that we would visit their offices in Lincoln to discuss our requirements. We were very impressed at how knowledgeable our consultant was, and the advice we received was extremely helpful. We were able to deal with every aspect of our end-of-life planning, and this included removing the burden from our loved ones of not only the cost of our funerals, but also of planning them. We would urge anyone who wants to get their affairs in order to take the time to speak to the professionals at the Planning Crowd. Thank you so much to Mr. and Mrs. Dickens. Helen, welcome back. What do our viewers need to do today in order to take advantage of these offers?
All they need to do is contact us. Pick up the phone, send us a text, go on our website and fill in the contact form. However they get in touch, just get in touch with us today so that we can talk to you. Secure the deal, that's the important thing. Secure the deal with just £99 deposit. You don't have to think about anything else. We'll then make an appointment to talk through with you the entire plan. We'll see what's best for you, make sure that the plan is affordable and the best way that you want to pay for it. It's a real positive step.
It is, isn't it? And when you think about, we looked at it a while ago about planning a funeral or planning a wedding, and you know, I'd much rather have the time to be planning.
So much to think
Well,
about.
there is, and you don't realise. You give yourself a year, maybe 2 years to plan a wedding. But I'm afraid with the funeral, we don't have the luxury of that, and we can see the to-do list on there. Would you plan a wedding in 7 days with everything, flowers, cars, catering, all of that still has to be decided upon. And plus, if you don't know that your loved one's wishes, that is something also, I think that is a burden, because you don't know, you know, things of what songs they wanted, what service they wanted, do they want religious, do they want humanist, as we said, and non-religious, you know, and all of that is the burden of the loved ones you leave behind.
It causes the most arguments.
Well, absolutely.
Yeah,
yes,
it does.
indeed. And like you said, it could be just what him did, you know, sort of dad like, or it could be anything like that, couldn't it?
Yeah.
It's an emotionally charged time,
It is, isn't it?
you take that charge out of the situation.
Yeah,
basically.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So, Helen, what's the alternative to a funeral plan?
Well, there are other products available, but you do have to be careful and make sure you understand what you're getting. So there are
Right.
life insurances that would pay out a contribution towards your funeral costs. But a lot of those come with requirements of health questionnaires and things like that. With the funeral plan, there's none of that. You know, you're guaranteed to be accepted. You don't have to go through a health questionnaire. A lot of people rely on their savings. They think, I've got money tucked away, it's okay, I know that my children aren't going to have that burden. But is that going to cover the cost of a funeral in 10, 20, 30 years' time?
Exactly.
We've seen how quickly these prices are going up. Securing the plan today means that you're securing the price of a funeral today.
Absolutely.
So that's really important. Or of course you could decide to do nothing. But you know, we've seen and we've talked about the effect that can have on the people that you leave behind.
And it is hard enough, you know, sort of going through something like that without having to go through so much more when you're there to help us through that, which is incredible. So not only do you get a funeral plan here, but you also get the exclusive Ideal World deals.
That's right.
Can you tell us a bit more about the will and the advance directive?
Well, I could talk for another hour on why people should have a will, but I won't. If you haven't already made your will, it's really important that you do, because again, that's another selfless act. Because if you really want to make sure that what you want to happen after you're not here happens, then you have to take control and you have to make a will that says, this is what I want to happen. Everything that I've worked hard for, I want to see it go A, B and C. If you don't do that, a government set of rules does that for you, and to be honest with you, it just very rarely works, because it's one rule fits all, and of course there's millions of adults in the UK, so it doesn't always work. So the will's extremely important. The advance directive, again, when we're talking about end-of-life planning, it's quite a sobering thing to talk about, but if you're in a position, if you're in a hospital and you can't make decisions about how you're cared for and ultimately what happens to you, an advance directive basically removes that decision from your family at a really, again, what can be an awful time. People can say that, look, if there's no hope of a recovery, I'd like to go peacefully. Other people say, look, try and keep me on this planet, so you know what the person's wishes are, and the family don't have to make that decision fearing that they might make the wrong one. So again, it's not something to dwell on, but you put it in place. It takes 10 minutes to sort out with us over the phone, and you've removed a huge potential burden from your family.
Now, you also got the DNA sample kit. Can you tell me a little bit more about that, because it's part of the offer?
Yeah, the DNA kit is really important, because you get to leave a part of yourself for your family. Which might sound a little bit gruesome, but it's actually a saliva swab. And it's don't misunderstand. It's not one of these DNA kits that's going to tell you that you're half Irish and half Jamaican. Was that your results? I can't remember, Jen. But what it can do is it's there for many, many years going forward, and it allows your family, if they ever need to go back over their family's DNA history, to create basically a DNA library. And as advances continue making headway in medical advances effectively, it can help future generations with health issues and eradicating diseases and things like that.
And it's quite popular in other countries, isn't it? I mean, it's a matter of course.
It is. It's quite standard in other countries. We're a little bit slow in the UK. We've pioneered this as an exclusive. We've pioneered this here at Ideal World, and it's proved very, very popular. And because of its popularity, we've included it in this exclusive offer today.
Wonderful exclusive offers. How does this tie in, Helen, with the funeral plans?
Well, it's something actually that funeral directors in the UK are starting to offer. So at the point of need, they offer to take a DNA sample. There's a few differences. Obviously, the deceased is not consenting to that sample, whereas with the DNA pack that we're giving away, it's something positive that they're doing now for their future generations. The funeral directors will also make a charge, and that can be up to £250 to take that DNA sample. And it's what we call a single-use sample as well.
Yes.
So if it's needed in the future for anything, it's got one use. that's it. And once it's been used, it can't be used again. The kit that we're providing as part of this offer today can be used multiple times. I think it's more than 50 times that you can actually use
Oh,
it
my word.
for testing in the future. So
Yes.
it's something totally different and something that's, you know, we're really proud to be able
included.
to offer.
Yeah,
A lot of people like the thought of leaving a bit of themselves,
yes.
you know, a
I like
genetic
that.
history. Yeah,
Exactly,
and
and having
families do have DNA libraries now. Yeah.
My word. And also, something I think is one of the most important thing is the free bereavement service.
Yeah.
And this is for the loved ones, obviously, at the point of need.
Yeah, obviously our clients talk to us about who they want to take care of everything, and it's those people that we meet, and so we are there whenever they need us, and there can be difficult calls, but again, if somebody's planned, I won't say it's an easier call, but obviously it's an easier call than if someone hasn't planned. But essentially, when we do all this planning with our clients, when we put wills in place and we put funeral plans in place, we then sit down and we see that through. It isn't a case of, thanks very much, we've taken your information, bye-bye, good luck. We really do put the client at the heart of everything they do. They're a centre of what we do, and we're there from the second they start with us to the point where their family need us. So we will sit down with the family, we'll help them understand what it is that needs to happen.
That is incredible.
And whatever they
Absolutely.
need to get effectively.
Now, if you want to take advantage of this, there's 3 ways to pay also. Let's go through those for you. Option 1, you can pay in full. That's a single payment now, or within 21 days, avoiding any monthly costs. Option 2, of course, you can pay interest-free, and that's paying a deposit and spreading the cost over 12 months. Or if you'd rather spread the cost over up to 120 monthly instalments, you can do that as well. So 3 options for you. And also, just to give you an example of ways to pay, there's option 1, so no deposit and you pay in full. Option 2 is a £99 deposit and 12 payments of £295. Or option 3, 120 payments of £44.92 with a deposit of £99. Ian, what if somebody wants something a little bit different to what the Balmoral plan offers?
The Balmoral plan effectively is the essentials. So we know that
Nice.
everyone can take advantage of that because that's what everyone needs to happen, if you like. One of the reasons we did partner with Avalon after our research, and the reason we work so well with them, is because they treat our clients like we want them to be treated. So anything that they want different, you know, some people want additional cars, so limousines following, that kind of thing. Other people have very different ideas about what they want. Basically, talk to us, and we'll talk to Avalon, and we will create the right plan for you. The Balmoral plan is the essentials, and
Yes.
we'll do everything that you need. But if you do want to do any more, and there are specific requests that you've got,
Yeah.
talk to us, because most of the time, unless it's outrageous, then Avalon can accommodate.
I'd like to know what you consider outrageous.
I'll show you after the show.
Now, we talked about the lovely contact centre in Lincoln, and Gareth Fairbrother is there. I know you're very busy, Gareth, so I won't keep you too long. Hello.
Hello, you all right?
I'm fine, Gareth. Now, how are you today?
Yeah, very good, thank you. We're very busy as usual when we're on your show.
I know, always, so I won't keep you too long. Gareth, what sort of questions are people asking right now?
We're getting a lot of good questions, but I think one would be good just to pose to Ian is a lot of people are asking if we could clarify what happens if all of the monthly payments aren't paid off before they die.
Very good question, Gareth. Now, Gareth, I know that you're very busy at the moment, so I'm going to let you get back to all our lovely viewers right now with those fantastic exclusive offers, and I'm going to put that question straight to Ian. So, Ian, what a lot of people are asking about the situation is if someone passes away while they're still paying the monthly plans, what happens then?
No, that's a great question, actually. Because you've secured the funeral plan at today's price, if you do pass away before you've completed all your instalments, all your monthly payments, then basically you've still secured that price for your family. So if you haven't quite fully paid all of it, all your family have to do, that money's absolutely safe, as Joe was explaining earlier. The money that you've paid in is there and it's available for your funeral plan. So all the family have to do is just make up that difference. And you still get it at the price that you've secured it at today. So it makes perfect sense to do it financially.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So by doing it today, it secures today's prices
Correct.
as well.
Yeah.
Let's again have a look at the options available for you. This is a Balmoral plan. Now, you have got the plan includes, and this is incredible, because you've got attending all necessary funeral arrangements. funeral director services, conveyance of the deceased to the funeral home within England, Scotland and Wales, advice on certification and registration, preparation and care of the deceased, supply of coffin, provision of a hearse directly to the crematorium or cemetery, and all funeral staff required to conduct the service, confidential advice on personal and social matters. And you have got examples. Now, these are examples of ways to pay as well. So you can pay in full with no deposit and there's no monthly payments. Your second option, if you want to, is have the plan price, a deposit of £99, and that will secure today's price. And if you've got 12 payments of £295.50. And also, of course, option 3, a deposit of £99 secures this, and then 120 payments of £44.92. Can you just remind me again, Helen, of what we need to have ready in order to sort this out today?
You don't need to have anything ready. You don't need to have answered all the questions that we've talked about. You don't need to know all that kind of thing tonight to take advantage of the offer. All you need to do is contact us, secure the deal. That's the important thing. And we'll make an appointment where the consultant can contact you at a convenient time and go through everything that needs to happen. Collect all the information, give you advice on what's right for you, and take it from there. They'll literally hold your hand all the way through it. They do this every single day. It's what they're used to doing. They're such a lovely team. Give them a call and speak to them about it.
Now, very easy to contact as well. The number on the bottom screen is slightly different to the usual one. 0333 600 2600. You can text 88802. Now, just text with the word wills, and the lovely people in Lincoln will get back to you, of course, to talk about your funeral planning within an hour, by the way. All the T&Cs, of course, on all the WsIdealWorld.tv. It could be Gareth. He's famous now, isn't he, our Gareth, from joining us here in Ideal World. And don't forget, of course, that number at the bottom of the screen as well. What I can say to you is that it is probably one of the most selfless things you will do is picking up that phone right now and making that first step. You don't have to have anything in front of you. Just have that chat and make that first step towards helping your loved ones. It is so, so important. So please do it and have that chat. I want to say a massive thank you to Ian, to a lovely Helen as well, and to Joe Derbyshire, who joined us from Avalon earlier as well. Thank you so much to everyone for joining us and explaining so much and the importance and the great deals as well that you taught us.
It's our pleasure.
Thank you to you at home. Do make that call right now. They're lovely up there in Lincoln, and we will see you very, very soon again. Thanks for joining us. You take care.